So we're going to go through each one by one. The first one has to do with family infighting. That is the first horror story, family infighting. So here's the picture. We have Betty. Okay. She is an 83-year-old woman. She happens to be widowed. There are 3 adult children with different financial statuses. And by the way, they hate each other. One child lives nearby and cares for Betty. Betty owns her own home, and that home is full of antiques. Betty pays monthly for a vacation cabin as well as a new car. Betty has a will and has nominated her 2 oldest children as co-personal representatives, meaning that they are operating together. And it also means that in order for anything to get done, they both have to agree, unless there's some other provision in her will. But typically when you name co-personal representatives, they have to be in agreement when making decisions. So Betty loved each of her children equally, but did not leave equal shares of her inheritance to each child. If you remember a past episode, I talked about, whether you should or shouldn't leave equal inheritances to each child. I would advise you to just go back, go into YouTube and find that prior episode to check it out. So Betty didn't leave equal inheritances to each child because one of her children took on most of the responsibilities of caring for her as she got older. She left her home and the car directly to that child, feeling that the daughter deserved this additional inheritance for her time and efforts. The remainder of Betty's estate was going to be divided equally between her three children, right? So we've got the 3 that are fighting and 1 that lives nearby and cares for her, if you recall. After Betty's death, the other siblings felt cheated and they contested, they raised a challenge to the will. One of those siblings in particular struggled with his finances, and he saw this as a chance to improve his financial status, and the battle in the courts began. This particular sibling wanted that vacation home that I mentioned a little while ago. He wanted that home immediately sold, and he wanted access to Betty's residence to get some portion of her valuable personal property so that he could just sell those items at auction and get like a quick turnaround. So in general, the siblings in this scenario, they could not agree on whether to keep or sell Betty's valuable personal property. And because Betty appointed 2 of her children as personal representatives, the infighting, it just got out of control. It escalated because only one of the personal representatives believed, they sided with the sibling that needed that financial support. When the siblings are already quarreling prior to a loved one's death, the divisions and the chasms between them only are going to increase, sadly. Because of this family infighting, Betty's probate estate could become subject to litigation for months or even years, right? This lengthy and expensive litigation serves no one in the end. As a matter of fact, it depletes the resources available to distribute to beneficiaries. And it results in just more court costs and attorney's fees. One way to avoid this horror story, the first of four, is that Betty could have minimized this by appointing perhaps a neutral third party professional to serve as a personal representative, and then discuss, what this means with with her children, and with the help of an experienced estate planning attorney. Of course, there is no, surefire way to completely eliminate the possibility of disputes, but there are ways to set up your estate plan so that you'd minimize the conflict, minimize the chaos that that's going to ensue when someone dies. And the truth is that emotions are running high. I mean, I see this in my practice, and before someone's death, people seem to be, the same people that seemed very level-headed and reasonable all of a sudden lose those qualities when there's a death. The emotions are raw, and you sadly see the very ugly, sometimes very petty side of some folks. So